This offseason is going to be extremely busy for the Detroit Pistons. They have the NBA draft coming up, another top pick. Who will they be selecting? They have a lot of money for free agency this offseason. Who will they be throwing the bag at? But also, one of the bigger storylines is whether Jerami Grant will be staying or will he be going. And we just had a recent bump in the road when it comes to one of the teams that were primed to go after him this offseason. We'll talk about what happened in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, if you're one of the 50% of people who will watch this on YouTube and haven't hit that subscribe button already, or if you're simply just listening to it on one of the podcast platforms, the best way to support our podcast is go to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons and hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And per usual, every single day, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. You can interact with me over there or obviously in the YouTube comments down below. Now, there's going to be a lot of things that happen this offseason with the Detroit Pistons. As mentioned in the cold open, they have a lot of money in free agency this offseason. They've been linked to Jalen Brunson. They've been linked to Miles Bridges. They have an NBA draft coming up where they have a top pick again. Hopefully they don't fall down spots with the lottery, but it looks like it's going to be a top pick. Who will they be selecting? What will they be doing there? But one of the bigger storylines that people will be watching for is Jerami Grant. He obviously was shopped around the trade deadline, this past trade deadline. There was a lot of momentum, a lot of smoke being blown that he was going to be traded at the last trade deadline. A lot of teams were interested. There was rumors of a possible bidding war taking place. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. He stayed with the Pistons, was not traded. But a lot of people believe that he will be traded this offseason. And we talked about in the last podcast on last Friday that some of the quotes from Troy Weaver in his exit interview didn't really, come off as, yeah, Jerami's staying 100%. Kind of comes off as, hey, if we'll get the offer this time that we want, he's going to be gone. And he's kind of playing, I think he's playing a game of chicken with other teams. Basically saying, listen, we're not going to get rid of him. We're perfectly fine just holding on to him if you're not going to give me what I want. So you guys can either give us your actual good offers, or I'm just going to hold on to him. And we don't really actually know what that value is. But one of the rumored teams that seemed to be going strong for Jerami Grant, not only at the trade deadline, but that would be going after him really strong in the offseason were the Portland Trailblazers. I told you guys the day after the trade deadline came on the podcast, I told you guys I knew, or maybe I shouldn't say I knew, that's the wrong wording. But from my understanding, the Portland Trailblazers were extremely aggressive at the trade deadline trying to get Jerami Grant. And it's because of that relationship that he has with their star player, Damian Lillard. They play on Team USA this past summer. And Damian was one of the main people that were pushing for Jerami to be on the team and speaking really highly of him. So they're pretty close together. And obviously with some pictures that were floating around on Twitter after the game from Yusuf Nurkic and Josh Hart. I believe it was Josh Hart at that time. They took pictures with Jerami Grant after the game, basically hinting at the fact that they want Jerami to come to Portland, that there's rumors going on. They're trying to recruit him, etc. So for the past few months, everyone's been under the understanding that Jerami will find a way to end up in Portland this offseason. Now, obviously, there'll be other teams that are interested in him, but Portland is the main spot that everyone thinks he's going to be going to. And the trade package was somewhere, basically going to be built around this first-round pick that they were going to have in this trade that they made with the New Orleans Pelicans. However, that pick that the New Orleans Pelicans sent over to Portland only conveyed to them if that pick fell between 5 and 14, which means New Orleans would have had to miss the playoffs. And if you guys are keeping up with the playoffs at all, New Orleans made the playoffs. They won in the play-in. They made the 8th seed. They're going against the Phoenix Suns. By the way, the playoffs have been absolutely amazing. I'm recording this after the Boston Celtics win. That game was phenomenal, a crazy game. But yeah, the Pelicans did make the playoffs, which means that pick will not be conveying to the Portland Trailblazers. So now all that momentum that was heading towards the Pistons are going to get that first-round pick. They're going to have 2 lottery picks in this upcoming draft, and Portland's going to be able to get their guy in Jerami. Dame's going to be happy, et cetera, et cetera. Win-win for both sides. It looks like that's going to be a little bit tougher now moving into this offseason. I don't know what other package they could possibly do. But the main package that had been rumored for months now was that trade package around that first round pick and whatever they wanted. They had that trade exception as well that they got in that trade, a $20 million exception that almost perfectly fits into Jerami Grant's contract. Basically, it was going to be built around that first round pick, but they don't have it no more. So it's going to be interesting to see. Does Portland still continue to try to go after Jerami Grant? What does this mean for the Pistons? Will they still be able to get the offers that they want? Does this mean that Jerami will be on the Pistons next season? Like, what does this mean? What's going to happen now? We're going to talk about that when we come back from the ad break. Whether Portland has another package to come up with, what does this mean for the Pistons' value, and whether they're going to be able to get the right value that they want for Jerami, or will this mean that Jerami's just going to be a Detroit Piston heading into next season again? But again, like I said, we'll talk about that when we come back from the ad break. But first, I have to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Athletic Greens. Our next partner has a product that I literally use every single day. I started taking AG1 because I wanted to simply feel a little bit healthier. I wanted better gut health, more energy, optimized immune system, all that kind of stuff. I didn't like taking all kinds of pills and vitamins, all that kind of stuff. So I started taking AG1. However, what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you'll be absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything while still tasting good. Supports better sleep quality and recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third-party testing. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews, recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Then let me tell you about another one of our sponsors, you guys' favorite sponsor, Built Bar. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right, and it's thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not even really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs bar? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting protein bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they're an absolute treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate. And get this, not just the Puff bars, but all Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. It's low calories and high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They taste better and they're better for you. A typical candy bar can be anywhere between 200 to 300 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to Built.com and scroll down to the macros chart. You'll be absolutely blown away. High protein, low calories. High fiber, low carbs. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And to make it even more delicious for you, they have all kinds of flavors for you. Mint brownie, coconut almond, a new flavor this month. White chocolate, cookies and cream. You guys know my favorites, the peanut butter flavor. They got cherry barcia, raspberry, blueberry, strawberry, all kinds of flavors you can check out. And if you're constantly checking out Built.com, you'll see the limited time flavors that they're coming out with nearly every week. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. Best way to support the podcast on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Continue to show Locked On that we're the best and fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button at the Locked On Pistons YouTube channel. Thank you guys. All you guys already have hit subscribe. And I hope to get over, I believe we're over 2.2 thousand subscribers right now, which is pretty crazy. But give me just 1 second. Let me take a drink of this water. I'm running out of my voice. All right, so Portland no longer has that New Orleans pick. So what does this mean for the Pistons now? Does this mean that they may not end up getting what they want for Jerami Grant this offseason? Well, I think you can look at it from multiple different angles here. And we're going to have a fun little exercise in the final segment. I had a lot of you guys send in trade machines since, let's say, they don't end up being able to make a trade with Portland, but Jerami ends up being traded somewhere else. I had you guys send in some fake trade machines to possible other teams that could possibly happen this offseason. We'll go over some of the ones you guys sent in and have some fun with that in the final segment. But there's a few ways you can look at this. Now, one, you could say possibly the Pistons end up not getting the value that they wanted for Jerami Grant. They end up selling him for, lesser value, and he ends up in Portland for something cheaper. I don't know what the trade value is for Jerami if all kinds of other teams will be interested in him, or if they'll be willing to give up what the Pistons wanted at the trade deadline. But that's one angle you could look at it. However, I think you could look at it a different way too. And that's, this may force Portland to have to give up more than they initially wanted. Now, remember, the reason why they're going after Jerami Grant is because of their superstar, Damian Lillard. If you've been following anything that's been going on with Portland, they're right now in a phase where they're trying to please him. They have to make him happy, and they have to show him that they're trying their best and doing whatever they can to put a championship contender around Dame. Mind you, just a few years ago, they were in the Western Conference Finals, and they haven't returned since. It's been a struggle since then. And his best friend and backcourt teammate over the past near a decade, they just traded away so they could try to have as much money as possible this offseason and moving forward, and enough space to be able to create a new roster, a new type of roster around Dame to compete for championships and make him healthy. And it's been clear, according to reports, and from what I understand, that Dame wants Jerami Grant. That's something he wants. He wants him on that team. So if Portland wants to make Dame happy, they're going to go after Jerami Grant. And now that the fact that they don't have this pick from New Orleans, that it could rule them out of the race. They may have to back off and not be able to go after him. However, it could force them to end up offering more than they originally wanted to offer for Jerami Grant. So what could I be talking about? Now, just because they don't have New Orleans pick doesn't mean they don't have a first-round pick. They have their own first-round pick, which is right now at 6th in the lottery. Now, just for fun games, let's go ahead and click Sim Lottery at Tankathon real quick. All right, so Portland in this lottery simulator, Portland falls to 8th. Now, the Pistons also fall to 7th. We're not going to talk about that though. But let's say in this scenario, Portland falls to 8th. Will they be willing to trade that 8th overall pick and some fillers, a young guy and a filler, or the trade exception, whatever? Just that first round pick, number 8 overall, their own pick, and some fillers for Jerami Grant? Possibly. Will the Pistons ask for future first round picks? Maybe the Pistons take future first round picks instead of a pick from this year. Maybe they take like 2 firsts down the line, or maybe they take like a first and a few seconds down the line. Who knows? But I think that it very well could be possible that Portland ends up finding themselves in a position where they're like, damn, we just lost this pick from New Orleans. Dame really wants this guy. We have to keep him happy. We have to do what we can to make him happy. And going and getting one of his guys will make him happy. And he also seems to fit this new roster that they're trying to build, which is basically, they're trying to play more defense, have more switchable guys, because before they were just all offense. Screw defense, but we're going to go full-on fledged offense. Now it seems like they're trying to go a little bit of a different route, have some more defense and switchability, which Jerami Grant will help them with, certainly. So, all that, and they feel like, we have to do something. We have to get him. We might just have to forfeit up our first-round pick and something else. The Pistons may find themselves in a position of strength here. They know that Portland wants Jerami Grant really bad. They know the reason they want Jerami Grant. They know Dame really wants him, and they know that Portland is desperate as a small market team to keep their superstar happy, especially with all the trade rumors that have been happening with Dame over the last 3 years. Everyone's been trying to force Dame out of Portland besides Dame. It's been nonstop. Everyone's trying to get him to leave Portland despite Dame. Dame doesn't even want to leave. He hasn't even really requesting a trade. Though there's been a little bit of cracks in the armor, I would say, over the past year and a half, where he seems like Just a few weeks ago, he said something along the lines of, I don't want to be traded, but if they were to come to me and say, hey, we're going to trade you and restart, I think it would be best for the franchise. I wouldn't push back against it. There's starting to be a little bit of cracks in the armor that show that maybe Dame could become more willing to a trade. So the Pistons know the position that Portland's in. They know that they're going to be desperate. So while they may not have this New Orleans pick, this may put Pistons in a position of like, hey, tough luck, but we want your number 6 overall pick. If they ends up 8th, hey, we want your 8th overall pick. We want like one of your younger players, and we want some salary fillers. We want that. And if you don't give us that, you're not getting Jerami. We'll trade him to Washington or something. We'll trade him somewhere else. You won't get him, and have fun trying to appease Dame. Have fun trying to build that team and making Dame happy by getting his best friend and the guy that he's close with. I think this actually could help the Pistons. I think it could actually put the Pistons in a good or even in a better position than they already were. Remember, back at the trade deadline, I said I was a bit worried about whether the Pistons would actually get equal or even more value in the offseason for Jerami Grant. And I said that it was going to be interesting to watch how it goes. Them losing the Orleans pick when it first happened, I tweeted out, I was like, man, this sucks. I think this sucks for a Jerami Grant trade. The Pistons might not get what they want now. But after a day of thinking about it, I was like, wait, this actually could help the Pistons. And I actually think that's pretty realistic of a case that could happen. Portland may just have to, their hands may be tied behind their back. They may be forced into doing something they didn't want to do, and it could end up helping the Pistons. So I think that's something that definitely is going to be worth watching this offseason. I can tell you guys this right now, though. I've told you guys this many times. Everything Portland did was angling to try to get Jerami Grant. They wanted Jerami Grant. That trade exception, creating that space for Jerami Grant, getting that extra first-round pick, that was to get Jerami Grant. And I will say right now, Troy Weaver, he was better than me. He was smarter than me. That's why he's the GM and I'm not. See, I'll come on here and I'll say my opinion. I'll say what I would have done. And I'll say I feel like I should have done this differently, or Troy Weaver should have done this differently. But as the facts come in, so does my opinion. Or no, as the facts change, so does my opinion. That's the quote there that I told you guys about a few podcasts ago. And the facts have changed. At the trade deadline, I said I would have just taken that first-round pick from New Orleans because I didn't think the Pistons would get a first-round pick in the offseason. I was starting to go after Troy Weaver over, and everyone was telling me, hey, Koo, just chill out. Now, at the end of the season, if the Pistons would have traded for that pick, they wouldn't have even gotten anything. They wouldn't even have it because New Orleans was able to make the playoffs. So now it looks like Troy Weaver made the right decision of waiting till the offseason, and maybe he possibly put himself in a position of strength now that he wasn't in before. So clap it up. I admit I was wrong. Possibly. We'll see what happens. But it looks like to me that actually what the initial thought process was of the Pistons being screwed now may actually be the opposite. And I may be completely wrong. So it'll be interesting to see in the offseason how that works out. When we come back, we're going to review some of the trades that you guys sent in case Jerami does not end up going to Portland, which I think all of us still think that he'll end up in Portland somehow. But if he doesn't end up in Portland, you guys sent me some trades. We'll go through them, and I'll talk about some of the ones I actually like the most from you guys. But first, I have to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your sports betting stats and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. Yes, baseball is finally back. BetOnline is a continuous source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action today. And if you happen to check the odds of the NBA series at BetOnline.net before today's games, you would see that they had the Boston Celtics as minus 130 favorites in the series against the Brooklyn Nets. And after the game winner from Jason Tatum, BetOnline.net is looking pretty smart. Hey, they're even looking better because of their odds that they had with Minnesota and Memphis. If you took the Minnesota Timberwolves at plus 290, I'm sure you're pretty happy right now because Minnesota were able to take off that game one and take home advantage away from the Memphis Grizzlies. That's another series that would be fun to watch. You can see all kinds of betting odds here for the series. You got Chicago Bulls plus 75 or 750 underdog against the Milwaukee Bucks. You got the Nuggets as underdogs against the Golden State Warriors. All kinds of stuff. You can check all that out at BetOnline.net. Again, make sure you head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, or if you're one of the 50% of people who are watching this on YouTube and haven't hit the subscribe button, hit that subscribe button for me. Head over there, to Locked On Pistons YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, it's the best way to support the podcast on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Continuing to show Locked On will be the best and fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So I'd really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. So you guys sent me in a lot of trades. And I'm not going to lie. I was going to make this like you guys sending in fake trades an entire episode. I was just going to go through an entire episode worth of fake trades that you guys sent in. However, that ended up changing because, one, you guys sent in, a lot of you guys sent in some pretty outlandish trades that I can't even like use on the podcast because it just isn't going to happen. And two, there was too many of you guys that sent in trades, including Russell Westbrook, and I've already told you guys in the podcast, we're not entertaining that. I refuse. It's not something that I'll even discuss. It's not something that we're even going to joke around about, troll about. No, because that man's name is like Beetlejuice. We're not saying his name more than 3 times. You bring him around the locker room, it may just become no. We're not doing that. So stop sending me those for that man. It's not happening. So I decided to dwindle it down and look at some trades that I thought actually were interesting that you guys sent in. So one of the ones that you guys sent me included the Atlanta Hawks. I actually think this one's pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. So it involves basically a trade for Danilo Gallinari and their first round pick for Jerami Grant. And Danilo Gallinari is on a contract for 2 years for $20.4 million per season. However, the thing here, which is what makes it interesting to me, that the Pistons could get a first round pick for Jerami Grant, and then Danilo Gallinari's contract, if you waive him before, what month is that? January, February, March, April, May, June. I'm not good with my months. That's June. June 29th of the offseason, only $5 million of that is guaranteed. So for the next season, 2022-2023, he's supposed to be paid $21.4 million. $21.4 million. If you waive him before June 29th, you gained $16 million in cap space. He only gets $5 million guaranteed. So the Pistons could make that trade, get a first-round pick, and end up freeing up $16 million in cap space if they so choose, which that actually makes it interesting to me. I would not be mad at that if that's the route they wanted to take, because they have Marvin Bagley. They're probably going to have to pay this offseason, because I'm assuming they're going to want to bring him back. I highly doubt they wouldn't want to. And they obviously are interested in guys like Miles Bridges, Jalen Brunson. They've been linked to DeAndre Ayton. Troy Weaver has talked about how they have a lot of cap space this offseason. They really want to make a splash. So they may try and make a move like that creates space for them to be able to get Marvin Bagley back and make some more signings and create more cap space for themselves this offseason. I think that actually would be a decent trade while also adding a first-round pick. I don't think that would be too bad of a trade. I think a lot of fans I think you guys would not like that. I'm not going to lie. I think you guys would be pretty mad about that. You guys probably are expecting a little bit more than that. I don't blame you. However, I think that trade actually would be pretty decent. I would be okay with that. Another trade that you guys had involved trading Jerami Grant to San Antonio for Doug McDermott, and he's the salary filler. Then you guys had a different selection of either, their rookie, I'm forgetting his name, Joshua Primo, and a first-round pick. I'm not too, I'm not really too into that one. I would rather do the Danilo Gallinari one if the Hawks are interested, simply because, like I said, you can get off of his contract if you waive him before June 29th. Again, I would like that one over the Spurs one. And again, you guys sent a lot of these ones with the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm disappointed in you guys. I can't believe you guys would even entertain that kind of thing. Another one you guys kept, this one was really popular too, involving Jerami in a sign and trade with Charlotte. I actually think that would be interesting. I think that actually could work out for both teams. I don't think Charlotte, I think Charlotte's in a position right now where they're looking at Miles Bridges and they're like, damn, we don't want to pay this dude $34 million or however much he commands. I know they're saying that he's trying to get 34 per year, but I don't think he'll get that. Maybe around $30 million. But let's just say this. I think Charlotte's sitting there like, man, we don't really want to pay him $30 million, but he's a really damn good player and he really improved on us. And we're a small market team. We don't really have an option here. Like, we can't just let him walk. Like, we would be stupid to do that. So we are kind of like forced to have to sign this contract for him. Or if they do feel like that, they could come to the Pistons. The Pistons could go after Miles Bridges. Let's say they offer him $30 million. Charlotte doesn't really want to match that. And they say, listen, we'll match this. Or you guys can simply give us Jerami Grant and a filler, because you'll need like an extra filler, maybe like Kelly Olynyk or something. Trade those guys to us, and we'll give you Miles Bridges in a sign and trade just like that, and you guys have Miles Bridges. I think that actually would be interesting. Because, again, I think Charlotte's in that position when they're like, man, we don't really want to pay him this much money and have that tied down for that long as a small market team. But also as a small market team, we can't just be letting homegrown talent walk after they have a breakout year. So we're like in a tough position. How do we do this without losing value? I think that actually would be a decent trade for them. They're not, I think Miles Bridges is a better player than Jerami Grant, but Jerami Grant's a good player as well. Along, you could get like Kelly Olynyk or something to fill it in. I think that actually would be an interesting trade, and I'd be watching for that this offseason. I wonder if we start hearing some rumors about that. Obviously, like we've said, I saw a lot of you guys on the last or a few podcasts ago when we mentioned possibly signing Miles Bridges to the team. A lot of you guys were like, the Pistons are going to draft the guy his position, plus they have Sadiq Bey. Why would they do this? And I told you guys that everything depends on what they do in the draft. We have to wait to see what happens in the draft before we start looking at free agency. Because if they draft like Jaden Ivey or a guard or something, then they're still going to go after a forward or center. If they draft a center, then they could still be going after a forward or guard. If they draft a forward, obviously they won't be going after a forward. They'll be going after a center or guard. So we have to wait for the draft, obviously. But let's say they do whatever happens in the draft that matches up fine for them to go after another forward in free agency. I think that could be interesting. A sign and trade for Miles Bridges. I wonder if that's something that could actually happen, if the Charlotte Hornets would be interested in that. I'm not so sure. We'll wait to see, though. I think that would be interesting. Another trade you guys keep saying was simply just take Portland's pick. We talked about that earlier in the segment. I think that's interesting as well. I think that could possibly be what happens. Some of you guys asked for Patrick Williams for Jerami Grant. I really think the Bulls are steadfast in not doing that. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they've made it pretty clear that they're not moving off of Patrick Williams. So I don't see that happening either. And again, we had some more trades, including the San Antonio Spurs, just different combinations of Doug McDermott, their pick, and even Devin Vassell or Primo or Bates Diop, all those kind of things. The main teams I saw you guys offering or putting up here were San Antonio, Charlotte, Chicago, and Portland. Those were the main teams I saw that you guys put hypothetical trades for Jerami Grant this offseason. I feel like those really are the teams that we could be possibly looking at. I think Washington could possibly be in that too. Maybe Denny Avila. I think that could be interesting. But I thought some of you guys' trades made sense. San Antonio could be interested in them. Obviously, if you get that first-round pick, could be interesting. The sign and trade for Miles Bridges could be interesting. Taking Portland's first-round pick could be interesting. Another one you guys offered, a Jerami Grant package possibly for Miles Turner. I don't know. I think Miles Turner went back on his trade demand and kind of is happy or at least happy with his situation. Happier, I should say, in his situation with Indiana, because now Sabonis is gone and he'll be more of the main guy up front court. So, but yeah, I'm going to wrap up the possible trades you guys sent in there. You guys sent in some more. Obviously, I'm sorry if I didn't get through all of you guys' trades, but a lot of you guys sent in just like overall the same type of trades with the same teams. There was just a lot of repetition. So if you guys suggested a trade that I didn't mention, or you guys are thinking of something right now, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what that is, or tweet me at Kookie Hill fake trade for Jerami Grant and let me know what it is. I'm interested to see if you guys have some creative trades that we haven't heard about yet. So again, make sure you comment that down below or tweet that at me at Kookie Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you're making Locked On NBA your second listen of every single day. From the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals, Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight analysis affecting all 30 teams. Again, make Locked On NBA your second listen of every single day. Thank you guys for listening today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Send me you guys' fake Jerami Grant trade proposals. Let me know if you guys think the Pistons are in a strength or a position of strength now because of New Orleans making the playoffs. Let me know you guys' thoughts. And until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everybody, and stay safe.